Hi, my name is Ashuk Ahmed. I was awarded an MBE in 2009 for services to children and young people. I started working as a youth worker on a voluntary basis back in 1984. And initially it came, I would say, by chance. We were playing football. Well, we used to play football regularly, almost on every day after schools or late afternoon, early evening at the car park on Kenilworth Road. Sorry, not the Kenilworth Road, the Maple Road car park, which belongs to Luton Town Football Club. One day, he was the assistant manager that came and approached me because I was you can say, the older one amongst all the young people that we used to play. And he came and said, "Boys, come here, I need to talk to you." And initially I thought, oh my God, we must have done something wrong. So anyway, he took us and we had a chat, and he said, every time we play football there, they tend to have less vandalism on their cars and other properties. And he said, if you would give us access to a porter cabin, which was quite a large porter cabin, and there was floodlight switch inside the porter cabin, we'd be able to turn it on and off ourselves. And we thought that's a really, really good idea. We can continue to play, especially in the winter months when obviously the day is much shorter. We can turn the floodlight on and continue to play. And we carried on playing football. From there on, we realized that obviously there were inequalities, especially in public services. So we decided to form an organization called Mitali Youth Association. Through this, we start challenging public services. When I say inequalities in terms of employment, Luton always had a very high percentage of BME community. But when you look at those organizations, whether it was Luton Borough Councils, whether it was police, fire services, NHS, any other public services, the proportion of employees from the BME community was very small. So we start challenging, and we obviously went on from one thing after another thing. We decided to start a youth club at Luton Youth House, and that was on a Saturday morning. And then, like as I said, there's many things has evolved from one thing after another thing. We realized that most of our young people, when I said our young people, mainly from the Asian and African Caribbean background, we were interested in playing football. So I was the first person to enter the BME young people led football team. Then it was Chiltern Youth League. And I had a team in under 14 and under 16. And we played for a number of years. From there on there were other things that I've started. I think I was the only and the first person to pioneer a midnight youth club. In the 80s, most of the Bangladeshi young people, from 13 years onward, they had to work in a restaurant at the weekend, like on a Friday and Saturday night. Or even some of the young people were working, if they were like 14 or 15, they were working at Indian restaurant just to earn a little bit of extra money to support their family. And I would say it was probably late 80s, early 90s. Young people coming after restaurant, usually it was after midnight. They were hanging around on Dunstable Road, and there used to be a lot of issues like antisocial behavior, fighting. And again, it was just by chance that I was talking to or discussing these issues with one of our local police officers. And he said, is there anything that we can do to divert these young people and into something more positive? So having thought about it and discussed that with a few of my colleagues, at that time I was working for Bedfordshire County Council as a youth worker. I approached Beds County Council if they would allow us to start a midnight club, youth club. Initially the response was they thought I was just crazy. But I was quite adamant that we need to do something about it. So they gave us on a trial period for 3 months. And at Luton Youth House, we used to start at 12 midnight and finish 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. There were 70, 80, up to 100 young people on every session. So that became so successful in the end, Bedfordshire County Council allowed us to continue on a regular basis until the youth club shut down and became a centre for carnival arts. We continued on that midnight youth club. And then there were other things that, while working as a youth worker with young people, a group of young people who used to play football in the league, they approached me and asked me if I could organize a football team tour to Bangladesh, because most of the young people were from Bangladeshi origin. Again, when I asked my line manager that I would like to organize a trip to Bangladesh, he said I was simply bonkers. It's not going to be possible. He told me literally, do not raise expectation of young people and do not let them down. I don't think it's going to be possible. And I said, why is it not possible? He said, have you got the funds? I said, I'm not worried about the funds now. All I need, if I can take the young people to Bangladesh, if you would allow me to go in my work capacity. And he said, after a long sort of thoughts, he said, if you can raise the funds, I have no issues. So I managed to raise approximately £15,000 through different fundraising events and grants. And I took the first group to Bangladesh. I think there were about 18 or 20 of us. And we played about 10, 15 matches in different parts of the country, including a match with the British High Commission staff in Bangladesh. And after that, I took another group of young people. Again, it was mainly footballers. And then the girls that were involved with the organization, they said, why is it that you give chance to the boys only? Because it's a football team tour. The girls, we can't go. Why can you not give us an opportunity? So we decided to change the emphasis from taking a team just playing football to taking a mixed group of young people. And from that occasion onward, I think I organized another 5 and 6, and 4 of them were supported by my colleague Joan Bailey, who has also received an MBE. Joan and myself, I think we accompanied about 4 or 5 trips. And on each trip, we've taken between 15 to 20 young people. And I would share one young people's, because every young person went on a trip, they all had to write a report about their experience, what they've learned while in Bangladesh. And there was one young girl who was living in a care home, and she wrote on a report, and I had tears in my eyes when I read it. She said prior to visiting Bangladesh, she has never been to London. She has never seen what's it like inside a train or a tube. For her to step inside a Boeing 747, that experience she will never ever forget. And then she went on and said she came out of the airport and she had tears in her eyes because she was so scared. In a developing countries like this, or especially within the Indian subcontinent, as soon as you come out of the airport, you will find that all the taxi drivers pulling you and your luggage, come to my taxi. The beggars out there who's to say, give me £1. If you give them local currency, sometimes they would say, no, give me an English pound, because an English pound is equal to anything between 130 to 150 local currency. So even if we give them £1, and they're exchanging it to 140, 50, something like that. So, and then she wrote that on the way back, I had tears in my eyes again. The difference is, first time I was very scared because I've never visited any country like that and never seen anything like this, the chaos in the airport. And on the way back, I had tears in my eyes because I never wanted to leave that country. And she went on to explain many other things anyway. And then as I said, from one thing after another thing, while I was working again as a youth worker, a group of young people approached me and they would like to set up a pirate radio station. And I said, look, as an employee of local authority, I cannot help you set up a pirate station, but I can certainly look at how we can set up a proper radio station. At that time, we never had the Google to do search how to set up a community radio station. I had to literally speak to many people to find out how to go about. And the biggest obstacle was to raise £16,000 required for that to set up a community station. Having again discussed the idea with many friends and colleagues, I was able to raise £12,000 to set up the first community radio station, which is Diverse FM. And with the help of another organization that was funded by the Home Office called Luton Lives, back in 1998, I think they started. They were based on Chapel Street. And they had, as part of their business plan, to set up a community media project. So when I heard about it, I approached them. And the chief executive or the head of that project said, Ashuk, you are putting music to my ears. You've done all the research. We've just started, and this is something part of our 5 years plan that we want to start. But seems like you've done all the work, you've raised £12,000, and you are short of £4,000. We will not only give you that £4,000, but we will also give you access to our office, admin support. If you need photocopying, whatever, a desk with a computer, you can have it. And let's work in partnership. So we developed that partnership, and we started the Diverse FM formerly 1998, but we did our first launch or first broadcast in the year 2000. From there on, we did another 5 or 6 yearly 30 days broadcast. Just to rewind a bit now, again, when I managed to raise the money and when I was 100% confident that we'll be able to apply for the license and start broadcasting on the RSL, which is restricted short-term license, we held a meeting and the young people did the presentations in front of our elected members, council officers, and after the presentation the young people made, they were told that the local authority and various other agencies that we invited will not be able to support it. He said there is no way you can run a project for 24 hours a day, 30 days a year, purely with volunteers. So we were quite sort of taken back because the agencies that we were counting on, they decided not to support us. However, I never gave up. And I always take any challenges with more, enthusiasm. I saw it as a challenge and I had to overcome. So I did manage to, as I said, raise the necessary £16,000, broadcasted for 30 days, 24 hours a day, carried on broadcasting for another 5 or 6 years. And then we started full-time broadcasting in 2006, if I'm right. And from there onward, we are only broadcasting 24 hours a day for 30 days, but we are broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and still with no paid staff. So Diverse FM is still running purely with volunteers. Then after, I think it was about third or fourth RSL, we decided that there was a demand for media training, or especially radio broadcast and video production related training. So we started at developing a training program on radio broadcasting. It was so successful, especially bringing in or working with the disadvantaged young people, like mainly those who are NEETs, those who are being identified as an offenders or at risk of offending. We can bring them on board and we can provide them with something very unique, very innovative and very attractive. So we set up, in fact, currently we got 4 studios, 2 for radio broadcasting and 2 also music and video production studios, where we engage with young people, provide them the opportunities to come in and just learn different skills, different sort of obviously experience. And even if they're not interested in gaining skills or experience, still they can come in and they can engage in just like, say, going to the studio and just spend their time in a very positive way. So that it was so successful. Currently, we provide 35, 40 different accredited courses within Diverse FM, and still it's all run by volunteers. We don't charge a penny to any of the young people. Every year, we work with between 12 to 1,300 people, out of which we've got a track record of re-engaging 50% plus participant back into employment or back into full-time or part-time educations. Many of the young people that come through our door, they end up coming to either like sixth form or Barnfield College or even University of Bedfordshire. So we provide them that training or the qualification they need to work as a stepping stones for them to progress into further education or even employment. So we do that through Diverse FM. And I'm really proud to say that we've got a track record of retaining 80% plus NEET young people into a 6-month-long program. And that is something, as I said, is because of what we provide. It's very unique, it's very attractive, and it's something that these young people, they enjoy. That's why they sort of stay with us for 6 months or longer. And many of these young people, then we, as I said, we do manage to put them into either full-time or part-time employment or training or educations. I've also been in, and sort of, I'll say, I founded a summer school project in Luton, which has been running for almost 30 years now. And the summer school project is very unique in the sense it's run by volunteers, and it's young volunteers for the young people. Every year, we recruit about 100 plus volunteers. We train them up, give them the mandatory training of like first aid and safeguarding, child protection. Other training are optional. And after those training, then they will go and work with another 250 to 300 young people for 5 to 6 weeks. These weeks depends on how much money we can raise. And usually it's very much of a multi-agency led summer school project. We get the police, the fire service, the army, various other agencies like drug and alcohol services agencies. They all come in and they all provide the services to the young people. So for that 5 or 6 weeks, Monday to Friday, between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., the young people are occupied into different sporting activities, arts and craft, trips, educational and awareness raising, workshops, health and well-being programs, so a wide range of programs. So they're engaged. And we've managed to compare the stats which are provided by usually from the Bedfordshire Police. It shows that usually in the summer holiday, crime and antisocial behavior goes up because young people are bored, they have nothing to do. But whereas the area that we run the summer school, in the summer holiday, it goes down. And it shows that obviously if 100 volunteers who are young people themselves and another 250 and 300 young people from the area are occupied Monday to Friday in positive activities is for almost like, say, 5-6 hours, then the risk of them going out and engaging in any antisocial behavior or crime is very little. And these are just some of the works that, as I said, I've done. I still don't know actually who nominated me. I received a letter from Buckingham Palace that a nomination was made by an anonymous person and would like to remain anonymous, and either a person or more than a person, basically, and they described the process is basically that you went to the cabinet office, Cabinet Office looked at it, and then they recommended to 10 Downing Street to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister then recommended that I should be awarded an MBE, which the Buckingham Palace sort of agreed. And they invited me. And initially there was an embargo for about 3 months that I couldn't really talk to anyone, not even my immediate family members. So I was holding that back. It's like I wanted to tell even my wife and children and my immediate family, my parents and my brothers and sisters, but it clearly said that I couldn't until that embargo date. So once the date was over, yes, I did told my immediate friends and family members that I'll be receiving an MBE, and there was a date that I was invited to Buckingham Palace, which again is I sort of went with my wife and my son and my niece, and therefore it was in a sort of, it's very difficult to explain that experience, and I'm sort of always sort of seen myself as a very much of a street person. I've always worked with the young people from diverse background, and I very much at a street level, youth work level, and for my work to be recognized, by probably the highest or the most prestigious, for the most prestigious awards. I was initially quite taken back. So I went to the Buckingham Palace and I've received the MBE award from His Royal Highness Prince Charles. And it was, as I say, an experience that I'll never forget. Yeah, I had a very sort of brief conversation. Prince Charles asked me, so what was the work that I've done to achieve this award? And I said it was my youth work. And I did mention to him that the Diverse FM, when I first started, that the £12,000 that I raised actually came from Prince's Trust. The grant was given by Prince's Trust. So he was so happy that a project that is still going, and he literally said, I'm so happy that you won your MBE for this award, which was initially funded by Prince's Trust, and I'm happy that it is still going, and carry on, keep on doing the work you do. And I'm really, really pleased that a project which was funded by one of my trust, so yeah, he was very, very pleased to hear that. I have received several other sort of national awards. One of them is very prestigious, is Children and Young People Services Awards. I was recognized as a Children and Young People's Champion. I've also been recognized by the House of Lords. This is in recognition to British Muslim who's making outstanding contribution within the Muslim community and the wider community in UK. I've also received the British Red Cross Humanitarian Awards. Again, it's for my work with the young people through the summer school, because summer school is a project where we just don't engage with the young people, but at the same time, we work with them to develop their skills. We work with them to provide them with volunteering opportunities. We work with them to deal with issues like drug and alcohol awareness, things like this. So it's a project that offers a wide range of support and services to young people. My message to young people is, I'll give you from my personal experience, or rather I will tell you from my personal experience. I came to this country at the age of about 10 or 11 as a second generation of economic migrant. I had to leave school at the age of 15 to go and work full-time in Indian restaurants and various other places to generate any income and support my family. I left school with no formal qualifications. However, when I started doing this voluntary youth work, I realized that in order for me to progress in life, I need to have a formal qualifications. Many people said it would be very difficult, but I proved them wrong. I went back to university. At that time it was University of Luton. Currently it's University of Bedfordshire. And I did an access course, followed by I did a diploma in higher educations in youth and community study, and I went on and completed a BA honors degree. And I often say to young people, if you have a dream, follow it through. If you want to achieve something in life, no one will do it, but you have to do it. But there are people out there are agencies out there who will give you all the support you need. So go and speak to the right people. If you want to talk to me, I'm always available at Diverse FM. We are based at 78A Castle Street, Luton. Come and speak to me, and I will be more than happy to provide you the guidance and the support that you need.